5 analog horror series that'll actually creep you out. The Walten Files. The Walten Files is an analog horror series about a man who discovers a collection of VHS tapes from the 1970s. The tapes were created by the Bunny Smiles Company, which went out of business in the 1980s. This series is heavily inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, featuring haunted animatronics as their main villain. But despite the Walten Files being clearly inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, it's definitely not a direct ripoff. The Walten Files has a great storyline and it's creepy as hell. Next, the FNAF VHS Tapes. The FNAF VHS Tapes is an analog series made by various creators, further expanding upon the established FNAF lore that we already know. The FNAF VHS series is made up of various training videos and leaked footage from inside the pizzeria. Now, because these videos are fan-made, they're not considered canon. However, they don't do anything to deviate from the storyline that we already know. Next, Dreams of an Insomniac. Dreams of an Insomniac is an analog horror series that was created by the YouTuber Pastra. The story is told from the perspective of Tommy Merrick, who's visiting his old family home, who finds a mysterious box of VHS tapes in the attic. The story follows Tommy and the many townspeople of East Ridge County after a break-in occurred at the local Halloween store where the robber only stole one thing: a random costume. Afterwards, mysterious disappearances start happening around the town, leaving everyone on edge and afraid to leave their home. This series, from my knowledge, is still ongoing, so there's a lot more lore to learn, but with what we have right now, this is definitely a well done series and it will 100% leave you on edge. Next, the Greylock Tapes. The Greylock Tapes is hands down one of the most unsettling and gory analog horror series of all time. The series is about the strange and paranormal events surrounding Mount Greylock and the government conspiracy surrounding them. Many strange and questionable things happen around Mount Greylock, and the more you watch the series, the more unsettling things get. Greylock Tapes is often considered one of the best analog horror series ever made, and if you've seen it, you know why. But if you haven't seen it, trust me, you will. And last but certainly not least, the strangest analog horror on this list, the Boiled One. Now, the Boiled One acts similar to The Ring, where if you watch the tape, the Boiled One creature will eventually stalk you. I actually discovered the Boiled One by watching an analog horror iceberg video, and let's just say the Boiled One was at the bottom of the iceberg. Now, horror is subjective, especially analog horror, but if you watch the Boiled One, I promise you, its uncanny nature will definitely give you the creeps, because y'all know hardly anything scares me, but this one definitely made me feel a little uneasy. If there's any other analog horror series that you want me to cover in part 2, just comment below and let me know. But until then, y'all stay spooky.